Hello folks, welcome to another video and something a little bit different today. Last Friday's eSENIORS GT3 Warm Up Race at Barcelona was without a doubt probably the best online racing experience I have had in my life. And what made it doubly so is this wasn't just Group 2 drivers, which I'm a member of, the slower drivers. This was Group 1 and Group 2 drivers on the circuit at the same time. So why was it so great? For me personally, well, something's changed definitely in the past sort of 7 to 10 days with me and my sim racing. Something's just clicked. It's a mixture of things, not just one thing. That I definitely have more confidence in what the car can do. I think the new Thrustmaster T300 RS-GT setup that I got about 2 or 3 weeks ago is making a difference. Better force feedback. I'm learning about setups. I'm making more little setup changes as I go along. And I've had some great advice on Discord and Facebook and private messages from other guys in eSENIORS who give me some fantastic constructive criticism after watching some of my videos. So thanks so much, guys. I read all your comments and take on everything on board that you say. So I've started to put stuff into practice. So what I've done here is I've recorded the whole race from the TV view, and I've done it in sort of 3 to 4 lap chunks, but then edited it all together in Adobe Premiere, so there's not a single second missed. There's just transitions along the way. And I'm going to chat throughout this replay and just talk about my thoughts about what happened in the race, certain manoeuvres, certain incidents, and just sort of generally chat about how I think I'm improving in sim racing, and hopefully this will help others who are maybe getting a little disillusioned with not speeding up and they don't see their lap times improving at the moment. There's a few fellow eSENIORS drivers that I need to give a shout out here, featured very heavily in my race, some of them for just about the whole race. Mr. Rs, Mr. Wilson, Mr. Berger, Mr. Tholen, Mr. Trowbridge and Mr. Garland. So I'll be chatting about these guys. Had a great time, respectful racing, and hopefully you'll enjoy this action coming up. So here's the start. I qualified 29th out of about 34 drivers, so into the first corner. Quite a clean first few corners from everyone. Quite impressive from everyone, wasn't it? Yep, all cleanly through there. So the first incident's really coming up, unfortunately on the first lap, just as we're coming into turn 4 here. There's a car that gets spun ahead, Mr. Trowbridge. And I have to kind of swerve out his way as he's righting himself, and a car off behind him there. Let's see a replay of that from a couple of angles. So you can see Mr. Trowbridge has already spun just under that advertising gantry, and he's just trying to right himself. Car's having to take evasive action, and a big swerve from me there. Just a racing incident. Terry was just trying to safely crawl back onto the track, so no big issue. So here's another view as Terry's been tapped and he's sliding down the road sideways, and natural momentum just turning him around. Close call there, and the other side there's Uwe going through, and then I think I'm next. Yep. So as I say, just a racing incident. So another couple of views just because they look good. So there's a nice rear view from Terry, and here's a kind of side on view from the front of my car, just missing him as well. And you can see in the background there's a few people trying to kind of avoid, or they maybe got a bit scared, and I think one car goes off in the background here. Yep, there he goes. And lastly, an overhead shot. So with that little bit of excitement over, we can settle down again into the rest of the first lap. So we're all still pretty tightly packed together here. That's two cars in front of me. The kind of luminous green is Uwe Tholen, and the red, white and blue French colours is Mr. R's. Mr. R's is going to feature heavily in this video. We've also got there, yep, just two cars behind me, the red and green Ferrari is Mr. Wilson, who is also going to feature heavily. Just coming up on my side there. So first lap nearly over, and always a relief to get around the first lap without any real contact or damage, or having to make a visit to the pits. So coming down the start finish, Mr. Wilson right in my slipstream coming into turn one, and I think for a second, well, it's early in the race, I might just let him go, and then I think at the last minute that I got a good line through, so I thought, no, I won't let you go. I'll just stick to my line. He's sticking closely to me though. He's putting me under pressure here. Now at this stage we've been joined by Derek Bird in the blue and purple Porsche. Now Derek is normally way up the grid, so I'm not sure what happened here, whether he got punted or had to visit pits for a drive-through or something. But anyway, so myself and Mr. Wilson have Derek breathing down our necks now, and he is a faster driver, so I want to let him pass, and I'm sure Mr. Wood does as well. Now here is Mr. Berger going off. So this is an interesting development. I've got Derek behind me, and I've got Mr. Berger rejoining. Two guys who are faster than me. But we are racing for position right now, so you know, I'm not just going to pull over and let them pass easily. So here's Derek having a good look down the start finish. He's not really close enough to make a serious attempt. So at this stage I'm very aware who's behind me. I can see it on my leaderboard, and I know he's going to get past me at some stage, but you know, I'm taking on board some of the comments that the faster drivers have made, saying, you know, you're maybe just a bit too kind. So I'm going to make him work for it. Simple as that. So Derek gets a slightly better exit there than me, and he's got the run on me here. So I lift off just a tad and let him go. So now I've got Mr. Wilson behind me, and he's got Mr. Berger behind him in the dark green Aston. So here's the three of us smashing our way down to the first corner. Mr. Berger's overtaken Mr. Wilson there. Got a good draft of him. So now he's looming large in my mirrors. So again, I'm quite happy with my kind of strong defending here, even though I know I've got a faster driver behind me. I'm sticking to my lines. I am trying my best to keep him behind me. We're actually, he's pushing me on faster, so we are gaining now on the two cars in front as well. So he's inadvertently helping me to up my pace. See, we're catching a bit more of the pack now, and this is great because it's going to lead to closer racing, and this is where it all starts to get pretty exciting for me anyway. So again, Mr. Berger right on my tail, right in my slipstream, coming down to the first corner, and Mr. Wilson sticking onto the back of him as well quite nicely. So he's having a little look, but again, I just stick to my line, and he's closing up on me again though here. You can see Mr. R's is just ahead of me, and just ahead of him, a couple of cars ahead of him, is Mr. Garland in red Ferrari. So all these guys are going to come into play with my race very soon. So really catching the pack here. Mr. Berger is side by side with me here, and gets the better line into the corner. So that's him got ahead for the time being. So now I've got Mr. Wilson again right behind me. Mr. Wilson gets his braking wrong and takes the lower road down, rejoins fairly safely. So now Mr. R's is having to defend heavily against Mr. Berger. So we're all getting a bit of a kind of natural gap to ourselves now as we settle into a bit of a rhythm. So I'm keeping an eye on these two guys racing hard in front of me, and I'm deliberately leaving just a little bit of a gap just now because I'm beginning to feel it in my bones that something's going to happen between the two of these guys. It's interesting because I know that they seem to be faster on the long start-finish straight, whereas I seem to catch them quite a bit in the twistier sections. So if you see the gap here that's developed between myself and Mr. Berger going down this start-finish straight into the first corner, I think he must have to brake there because suddenly, within 2 corners there, I'm right behind him more or less. Yep, closed right up. Car going off, but safely crawls round and rejoins in a good way. And another car missed his braking point, does the right thing though, sits and waits for everyone to pass. That's a great shot of these 4 cars going into the first corner. So this is a great shot of a pack that's going to develop with Uwe at the front there in the green Porsche, Mr. Ars, Mr. Berger, myself, closely behind there we have Mr. Garland. Now, this is quite a pivotal moment coming up as we come through turn 4, down through turn 5, and there's a slower car ahead. I'm not sure what happened to him, but it kind of puts everybody's off their line a little bit. And I noticed this ahead, there's a big battle going on, and I think, okay, that doesn't look good, something's going to happen here. And right enough, there's contact. And somehow I managed to thread the needle through it all. A pivotal moment. Let's see that again from a couple of slow motion angles. So at this stage, I can see them making contact, and I already know that they're both spinning out, and I think I'm going to have a collision here. But just luck would have it, they spin out in a way that opens a big door for me to get through. And just from the other side of the car here, you can see Mr. Berger having to take to the runoff area. So that's Uwe spinning off on the right, and I think it's a Mr. Queen spinning off on the left. I'm not sure if he was a back marker. So back to the racing after that incident, and that's moved me up one place. So now we have Mr. R's right behind me in his red, white and blue French colours Ferrari. We have Mr. Garland right behind him in his red Ferrari, and right behind Mr. Garland we have Mr. Wilson in his red and green Ferrari. So we have a nice line of 4 Ferraris, which this develops into a nice little battle for a few laps. I've managed to find myself a little gap, but the other 3 Ferraris behind me are having a good old squabble. So you can just see in the background there the lime green car of the leader. So we are about to be lapped. So the leaders are going to start to come upon us. I think this is round about lap 17 we're on just now. So as I mentioned right at the start, I qualified 29th, and I think at this point I'm up to about 18th. So having a really good race, and I'm really enjoying it at this stage, thinking, oh well, I'm going to be in the points. I'm racing against Group 1 and Group 2 drivers, and I can feel it. I can feel that I'm improving and having a really, really good race at this point. Car feels really good, and the tyres are nicely up to temperature. Even though the sun's going down, it's still feeling good. There's no damage on my car. I haven't had any real collisions or anything. I might have taken a few rumble strips and curbing a bit hard, but everything feels good. So after a fairly static 2 or 3 laps where the 4 of us are fairly close together, but we're starting to come across some back markers now, which are going to play into the equation. Yellow car ahead gets it slightly wrong on that corner, runs a little bit wide, which means we're right on him now. And he's trying to pull over to let me past. Goes off a little bit. There's a great view. The 4 Ferraris in the line all battling down this straight. Mr. R's having a little look to the inside there. mentioned earlier that the leaders are starting to appear in the far background. They're a lot closer now. You see them behind our gang of 4 Ferraris here. So things are going to start getting interesting. You see the blue flags waving. Mr. R's fancies to look up the inside again. And a couple of the leaders tangle behind us. So here you can can see the actual leader in the light green car just behind Mr. R's. None of us are wanting to get in his way. He's past Mr. R's fairly quickly on that start finish straight here. He's not quite close enough to me for me to let him pass at this moment. He's behind me now. And I decide to try and let him pass once we're on this long sweeping right-hander. So I'm trying to stick to my line. And he passes me on the outside. So we're in the final sort of 2-3 laps here now, and getting lapped by leaders, which is making it interesting for myself and Mr. R's, trying our best to let folk pass in a safe manner. A couple of incidents coming up though. This is Mr. Mileski I've now got behind me, who was a leader. I think he tangled, so he's now between myself and Mr. R's. faster without a doubt. However, we are now racing for position. See, Mr. Mileski's got the run on me into turn 1. He's picked up my draft and managed to overtake me. And then a car very nearly runs into the back of me, so we all have to slow down. We're bunched up, and Mr. R's thinks he has a run on me up the inside, and unfortunately touches and puts us both off. We were able to rejoin fairly quickly. So let's have a look at that from a couple of slow-mo angles here. So here's from behind Thierry's car, and I'm kind of watching the distance between the right-hand side of his car and the rumble strip. So he's definitely hugging the rumble strip here, thinking he can hopefully edge it up the inside. And then the gap widens. I don't know whether he's drifting over, his tyres are going, and he just taps the side of my car, sends me into a spin. Now, fortuitously, he taps me again and sets me on the right path for going up the circuit, and he kind of skirts along the wall a little bit onto the track, and very magnanimous of him, he waited for me to get in front of him, so you know, he did not want to take the place off me. Very gentlemanly driving. Here's another view from the top. Little tap, and then another tap to put me on the, and then a third tap to put me round the right way. So no great harm done. I guess tyres giving out a little bit, and he maybe just sort of skidded over to the outside without meaning to. So back to the racing after that little incident, and I think we're just in the last 2 laps here. So I was 18th. Unfortunately, after that little tap, I went down to 22nd. So in the points and then out of the points, a little bit unfortunate. And at this stage, I'm carrying a little bit of damage. I can feel it in the car. Handling's not quite as good. I think I'm losing a bit on top speed as well. So I am struggling to keep Thierry, Mr. R's behind me at this stage. So we're having a good battle though. He's definitely closing up on me. As I say, a little bit of damage affecting the performance of my car. But I'm managing to keep him behind me. Although he's certainly closing up very close on some corners. Coming in here, I get my braking point slightly wrong. Drift a little bit wide, and that allows Thierry to sneak up on the inside of me there. Fair move though, a fair move. Now, coming up behind us here is Mr. Holmes. So Chris Holmes is one of the leaders. So he's coming up to lap us, as are I think the two guys behind him. So they're in their own race, and myself and Thierry are in our own race. Coming down here, I'm afraid Mr. Holmes gets a little bit impatient and comes the worst out of it. You know, wasn't the time to overtake. He admitted that to me afterwards. It would have been much better just waiting for the start-finish straight here. I would have let him pass no problem. So these are all leader drivers that I'm letting pass. The white car in front of me, the orange and green coming around here, let him pass as well. Here comes Chris Holmes again behind me. He's managed to recover pretty well actually from that misjudged overtake on the last lap, and he's right up behind me again. So they're all fighting hard. These guys are fighting very hard. And coming into this corner, I'm trying to let as many guys pass. I think I let about 3 guys go here. I'd come right off the accelerator. I let about 3 or 4 cars pass me. And then they all have a bang and collision in the corner, so I just go past them again. There's nothing more I can do. So I'm pretty sure this is the last lap. I let Mr. Holmes go, although and somebody else sneaks past me there, and another one. So I think we end up in the last lap with, yep, the red and green Ferrari of Mr. Wilson again behind me. So basically this is our personal little battle into the last lap. As I say, I'm down now 22nd, although I think the result showed me as 21st. I don't know if somebody got a time penalty maybe. But Mr. Wilson giving me a hard time here, certainly pushing me on the last lap. I do have a slightly damaged car, but no excuses. He's pressurising me hard into the last few corners. So, just to sum up, as I say, I had some great battles in this race. Now a collision there. And I really felt that my driving definitely have upped the game there. I had a pretty good race the following night and the Saturday. I might do a little highlights video of that. But I really did feel this was a turning point race for me. It kind of occupied my mind overnight, and on the Saturday, and I thought, I've got to do a wee video on that. There's Mr. Wilson. He takes me on the last corner. I got my line slightly wrong, but hey ho, there it goes. And that's the end of the race. So fantastic. All the guys that I've mentioned, I had a superb time racing you. Let's have more of that. And once again, thank you to Jeremy and Michelle for putting this group together. It really is phenomenal. So I hope you enjoyed watching that. I wanted to get it recorded for posterity, so as I can revisit it whenever I feel like it. Cheers for now.